Sports Lounge 281. Charlie Hildebrand, Travis Cribs, little Indian guy in my hat. We're all here. Nathan Stacken, he will be here. Over, under, I don't know, number of appearances from Stacken's kid, number of minutes he's on air or can be heard. What's a good baseline to set here?
Are we going like if he leaves the room, that stops a count of one, or is it just if he goes off screen?
If he goes off screen.
Okay, so it's probably going to be a bit higher then. I'm going to set the over under at like 6.5 then.
6.5. It's still early in the night, 7 to 15. The sun is out. It was 72 yesterday. It's 73 today. It's 20 degrees warmer than it should be. It's
in the 70s here too.
It's too hot for my
really nice. Gas is cheap. People can go wherever they want, and they're just kind of stuck inside. One of those weird ironies.
They can't go anywhere, and a lot of people watching the TV, and they're watching the Netflix, and the Tiger King is the king on Netflix. Everybody's watching it. What's been out for probably, 3 weeks now or so? 3 weeks?
That sounds about right.
So how did you first hear about this show?
Somebody at work mentioned it, and I had seen that it was on Netflix but knew very little about it. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's something I'll watch at some point. And was basically told, like, you don't understand how ridiculous and bonkers this show is. Like, that's something I'll watch at some point. And I was like, oh, okay, I can watch it. And like the first episode, there were things I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. I mean, this is strange. And like, just so did not know how ridiculous it was going to get.
And then I barely heard about it, and then you started talking about it, and so then I watched it 2 weekends ago. And like a lot of the times you go into something, everybody's saying, oh, this is nuts and this is really good, and then it happened, like, well, that was fine, but my expectations were a little too high. But I don't think your expectations could be high enough with this, because you couldn't predict, or just the fucking characters in this, even the people that are supposed to be the good guys are weird as shit.
Yeah.
Yes, the 5, 6, 7 main characters in this thing. The one guy that didn't have legs, he's on there quite a bit.
And it wasn't from a tiger that he didn't have legs, which was which is not even one of the 20 biggest surprises, but was still pretty surprising.
And the lady who's apparently now a man who got her arm bit off, and that's like 12th on the list here. And was he?
Her arm bit off and went back to work like 4 days later or whatever.
I assume you've got free reign to write about what you want to write about with your 5 things.
With your big fives, I haven't actually asked how far we can go with those. My understanding is where it's pretty whatever you want to talk about, as long as it's not, overly inappropriate or controversial.
Can you pick that? And it sounds like it was a big hit.
Yeah, it got. I don't have access to how much page views things get, but there are times we're told about the things that do really well, and there were over 2,000 people that looked at it in March. And of the Take Fives, it was the most viewed one in March. There's probably, but that might be the thing of anything I've written here that has been read the most online. Then
Stacken's on here yet? Is he here? No. I don't think he's seen. I think we both agree there's no way in hell he has seen this. Do we think?
I don't know. I'm going to say there's a 22.5% chance watched it.
I'm saying very low single digits. So you think he's at least heard of it? Or if I say, hey, Stacken, have you heard of this? Do you kind of know something about this? Have you been seeing this?
I feel like he has to have heard about it. It would be, especially in quarantine now. I think that's the reason this has been so successful, is that since people are forced to stay at home, they spend more time looking at stuff on social media and watching stuff on Netflix. And it's just the perfect storm for Tiger King. I think it would have been successful even in a normal point in time, but I don't think it would have been to this degree.
Like this happened like right before things kind of got nuts. Like they're like the week of, like, all right, you got to stay inside and do all this. This was like perfect timing for something like this to come out. It's been out, what, 3 weeks or so. Well, the guy's still in jail. Apparently, he's got coronavirus, the main character in this, Joe Exotic. So hopefully he pulls through from that. And I feel like
it's Tiger King, and Corona is Spanish for crown, if I remember right. So, even if his crown that the Tiger King may have been taken off, he still got his crown back in prison.
It's all coming together. I would say the big thing about this is he wanted to be famous.
Oh, yeah, he definitely wanted fame over anything else. Did not care how he got it.
Fair to say he is very famous now, and probably more famous than he thought he ever would be, or obviously ever was before this. He is I think, he can probably get out of jail in maybe 10 years. What he was sentenced to 22. He's in his mid 50s or so, early 50s. So I think if cocaine Miami guy can get 8 years for maybe being involved in a murder, maybe this guy can get half a sentence, and he's apparently wanting to spill the beans on everybody if that will help his cause. But there's a lot left to maybe tell in this story, I would say.
Yeah, I think there's definitely more stuff they want to do. There's 5 or 6 characters that could have had their own 5 or 6 Netflix episode thing. And with Joe being in prison, I think as you know, I like ironic things at times that are funny. I think it's incredibly funny and ironic that he is now as famous as he's never going to be more famous than he is right now. And he's in prison where there are people who don't have access to Netflix. So they've not watched it, so they don't know who he is. There's probably people that have been in there long enough that they don't know what Netflix is. So even if he gets access to the internet somehow, or is finding these things and is like, hey, I'm famous, he's surrounded by people that just literally have no clue who it would be like, not as extreme as this, but it would almost be like Michael Jordan in like the late 1980s, early 1990s going to like Tibetan monks who were just like, well, we don't know who this guy is. And it would just be the irony of like wanting fame so bad, and he has it, but is in a place where probably nobody knows is famous is humorous to me.
A lot of, you could spend literally hours really chopping this thing up and looking at what's going on. Who did you hate the most? There were a lot of good guys, a lot of bad guys, probably some bad guys that I liked. I'm like, yeah, this guy sucks, but I like him. Who was there? One guy or woman that you're like, I just hate this person the most?
The two towards the end at least, the 2 people I didn't like the most, I think, were Carol Baskins and I don't remember the guy's last name. The Jeff guy, the guy who was bald. Yeah.
I would be in agreement there, yeah.
The Jeff guy seemed the seediest, like just right away. It's just like this guy seems so incredibly shady.
Did you think, like I did about halfway through, I was thinking, how could you do a pro wrestling thing out of this? Or how could you do something related to pro wrestling, just kind of based on, all right, you got this guy, you got this lady.
I didn't think of that. I like where this is headed, though.
You got the big feud between Joe and Carol. That's the big feud. And then you got all these branches. You got Jeff Lowe. He comes in and kind of takes over the deal. And you got a bunch of different things you can branch off of. And I was thinking how you could do that with wrestling.
I'm trying to think, with Joe and Carol, it would be who – Austin and McMahon doesn't – that doesn't quite work. But it would be who is someone who 15 years earlier, in the mid-1980s, would have been a heel, but the way society and the Attitude Era had changed was a face. And then someone who was like, no, you're breaking the rules and that's bad. Which is, at least for like the first episode, is basically what Carol Baskins is doing. And who, earlier, like in the mid 1980s would be seen as this incredibly heroic character. is the heel because everyone's like, who did Kurt Angle feud with early?
Oh yeah, who did Kurt Angle feud with? Yeah, he was like a goodie, but then people hated him.
Yeah, like the early Kurt Angle, whoever he like that would be. That's who I would think of as like Carol Baskin's Bane, and whoever. But I'm just saying, I don't. I mean, I remember Kurt Angle, but don't remember who he had like really long feuds with early on when he was a bad guy.
Like a Stone Cold or Triple H or Undertaker.
I think very much it would be Stone Cold Steve Austin face, at his highest peak versus early on heel Kurt Angle would basically be Joe.
And then you have to have somebody come in. Something happens to Stone Cold, and you would have to have somebody else kind of come in and save him or something. So then you've got that. That can become a feud.
And that's the Jeff guy who obviously not too long later turns his back on him.
And then you've got this Doc guy, like South Carolina, wherever he is, and he's the guy.
Kiddo,
He's the guy on the other end. He's like a guy, he's the guy on the I guess he's the guy like everybody models their thing after because he's like the king of what. So, it's an amazing story. Stack, and we've got very important questions.
I know you do. I know you do. I can tell I'm going to contribute a lot to this WrestleMania conversation.
It's actually not the wrestling so much.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard / seen this Netflix thing, The Tiger King?
It is on the list of we're gonna watch it. Kelsey wants to watch it with me, so we're gonna try and get that taken care of here this week. I have been watching Ozark. And
wow! Look at this.
I don't know how I feel about it.
I'm the only one who's not watched Ozark at all. This is not usually the case where we're talking about it because I'm the one that hasn't watched it yet.
I'm only through 5 episodes of the first season, and I will be watching the 6th episode because the 5th episode left me on like, okay, I need to see what happens here. I'll be honest though, I don't know how much more I will go with it. It's very slow moving. There's just not a whole lot that's interesting.
Let's go to the end of the first season. If you want things to pick up a little bit, just watch, what is it, 10 episodes?
Is it? Okay, I don't know. I feel like this
pick up.
I feel like this is kind of like Vikings to a degree because the first season there was a lot of slow movement going on, a lot of setting the scene for future seasons or future episodes. Jason Bateman is a fantastic guy, and I actually think that his character he plays the same character in almost all of his movies, except in this movie he does the comedic element is gone, but he's still kind of that dick. I mean, I guess that's how I would you characterize that character? Like he plays it relatively similar to what he does in movies, right? Crins, would you agree with that assessment?
I don't see a lot of things.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's usually like a comedic guy, but now he's not a comedic guy. And there's sometimes little comedy here and there, not often, but a lot of drama. And I would say like Mad Men, I think, was kind of a slower show. But then once you got to the end of the season and kind of saw the whole thing, like, oh yeah, a lot of things did happen. So I'm 1 episode into the 2nd season.
Okay.
Yeah, the 3rd season came out like a week or 2 ago. So it's going to be a while for me to catch up on that. But yeah, I would keep going with it because it's a lot of things happen in the last couple of months for sure.
I will be watching Tiger King though because it is an absolute obsession with just about everyone. I mean, I really heard about this. I really heard about this on the Dan Le Batard show. They were talking about it the first week of everyone being quarantined in their houses and whatnot. When the first week that ESPN didn't have sports to talk about besides NFL free agency, they did. And Ron McGill from Zoo Miami was on, and he is absolutely disgusted by Joey, whatever his name is, and just like says it's deplorable, how they're exploiting the Tigers for money, essentially. And
Isn't that the same thing Ed Orgeron is doing? He's exploiting the Tigers for money Also, Dabo Sweeney exploiting the Tigers. I mean, maybe Ron Gardenhire as well, exploiting the Detroit Tigers.
It's very. It's. I think that's a great point. How about Paul Brown? With the Bengals.
The original Tiger exploiter.
Exactly. And maybe what was Tiger's ex-wife's name? Elin Nordgren, or maybe she exposed him. She's the original exposer of Tigers.
We're on to something here. Any advice, Charlie, for Nathan as he starts this? I would say.
Why did you call me Nathan?
I'm sorry, stacking. You can't set your sights too high. I don't think.
Second, I'm going to preface this with I don't know if I'd say Tiger King's good.
Goddamn entertaining.
Let me put it this way: some people think it's good. Some people may not think it's good.
Yep.
It is incredibly interesting and surprising, and it is the most bonkers show I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
There's times in episode like 1 and even early in 2 where you're just like, wow, that's stunning. I can't believe that. It can't get weirder than this. And it's just like, oh man, you are only on like stair 4 right now, and this is the 70s step.
What I like about this, I think, compared to say Game of Thrones, is these episodes are only like 45 to 50 minutes, right? And is it 7 or 8 episodes?
And there's only 7 episodes. Well, allegedly they may have another one get released this week.
Like 5 hours.
7 or 8.
Yeah, that's so doable. So yeah, that's definitely on the docket. And yeah, I've heard mixed. I've heard, like you said, Charlie. Some people say it's good. Some people don't like it. But it's like a train wreck. You can't take your eyes off of it, and it's just, as you said, so bonkers. So I'm in
train wreck with nuclear waste on board inside a city that had a bunch of children who then turned into mutants and attacked people, and it's just
so basically,
and you're just like, wait, hold on.
So
like, the one meme or the GIF on Twitter of like the white guy that's it's just like a 1.5 seconds long where he like does like the surprise like what like that thing. I probably did that like 6 times each episode.
So we're basically dropping Chernobyl into Hiroshima. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
In a lot of ways, yeah. And obviously, I'm not going to spoil like what happened. I mean, there's so many moments where you're just like, wait, what? How did this happen?
I want to ask you this here, it'll be a bit of a spoiler, but who killed or how did Carol Baskin's husband die? What is your best guess?
Well, it's unclear. We don't know. He disappeared.
Where is he at the moment?
He's in the pit of the stomach of a tiger.
Well,
stacking, I don't know, but I think that's probably. I think that was. Let me put it this way. I think that was true at a point in time. I think he's probably been.
Is he tiger shit?
Since then, but yeah.
He's in the ground as fertilizer.
Was it ever? I mean, I'm going more with he flew and he just crashed into the wall. Is what I'm going with. Was it ever explained? Like, is his plane still around? Because he had a plane, right?
Yeah, they went into some of that, and I don't remember all the details. It was like many things in this show. A lot of really sketchy stuff going on there.
I assume his plane is not around anymore.
He found his van, but his van wasn't where you would think it would be or something, and there was all this weird stuff.
Because you would think
his brother was like the sheriff or whatever,
and somebody said, "Oh yeah, somebody threw him out of a plane." Which, if that were to be the case, that'd probably be pretty hard to find him in the middle of the ocean or the Gulf of Mexico. If his plane wasn't there, then logic would say yes, he was in a plane crash. His plane is missing. I don't know. I don't remember if that was said or if his plane is missing. If his plane is still there, then the septic tank, feed him to the tigers. That's interesting. It felt like her setup was the shittiest, by far, the shittiest of all the setups. Little cages, weeds growing everywhere. They had a handful of tigers, which
unpaid labor. Well, the other one's labor was not paid much. but it was technically paid, where hers was not paid at all.
There's a lot of hate about her, and I don't know how she's any different. I guess she doesn't breed them. That would be the only difference. The others breed them. She doesn't. And it looked like their living conditions, at her living conditions, were by far the worst. If you were a tiger, where the fuck would you want to live? With her?
Noah?
These other guys.
Agreed.
So that's
The only thing I can think of, like documentary real life stuff that even remotely, not plot wise, but like maybe the same sort of feeling. Did you ever watch? It came out like roughly this time last year, I think. It was called, I think, Abducted in Plain Sight. It's on Netflix. Is a girl. I mean, it's I don't know, it's like an hour and a half long. It's just one thing. It's not episodic. And there's interviews the whole time, and you find out early she's not dead when she got kidnapped. She lived. It's like this girl from a small town in Idaho that gets kidnapped, and it's like, oh, well, what did you do to try to get her back? And like the parents, especially, like just made the all-time worst decisions. Where you're just like, oh, well, that's a bad idea. You at least fix it by doing this, right? And it's like, nope, they compounded that bad decision. And it's just like 7 of them in a row where it's like, man. And I only watched it the one time, but there's a couple things that I remember that I definitely don't want to spoil. But like 20 minutes in where this is the way I thought it was like Tiger King, where you're 25 minutes in and you just keep going like, wait, how is this the decision you guys came with? This is such a bad idea.
Have you seen, did you go searching for his music videos like I did?
I did not look for his music. The biggest reason is that just I know that they were, it was not him singing, and I don't even think he came up with the lyrics.
And like there was a scene where like he's in his truck going somewhere and he's listening to his music and he's like, oh yeah, this calms me down, or this is my passion. It's like, dude, it's not even you, and you know it's not you. What type of bullshit are you trying to pass? Obviously, nobody thinks it's him, and when you find out, oh, that wasn't him, like, oh, well, of course that wasn't him. Why the hell would it be? So it's like he's sitting in the truck saying, oh, my music, I just love my music and my CDs. I'm like, dude, this, like, it's a bunch of shit. There's a couple of them out there. What's the one? Man Saw a Tiger. Tiger Saw a Man. That's obviously his biggest hit of all time.
The Kitty, or that and the one about Carol Baskins.
That one's a good one. This guy is gay, and he has one. There's one lyric in this one song which is just the best. It is something like, I'm a pretty woman lover and an ugly woman's dream, is what the line is. It's just the goddamn best. So between those three, it's
if I remember right, pretty early in the first episode, he described himself as I don't remember the exact order. Basically, he's like, I'm a gay-blooded, gun-toting redneck or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting combination of things that you don't see that often together.
A lot of things. It's an exceptional piece of programming. Also, there's this guy in there like he's doing like his show, trying to make money off his show. This old smoker reporter guy who looks like he's half dead.
Stay down here for a minute.
My question is,
a recovering cocaine addict.
Yeah, he's been through the ringer. He does not look well. My question is, why did no network pick this up? When I look at this ridiculousness, and I'm like, yes, give me 10 episodes of this shit. Give me 10. Like, how of all the garbage that is on TV, this doesn't get on TV? I mean, you got to be kidding me. I look at this, I'm like, yep.
That's a good question. Now, I don't know the order of places they went. Maybe Netflix was just the first one that offered them the money. I don't know.
Years ago.
Are you talking doing like having actors play it afterwards?
Like years ago when they're taping all this footage for his reality show and his internet bullshit, and they were trying to get it on TV.
No.
And I guess they were like, oh, we were talking to some people, but it just didn't work out. Like if I'm an executive,
Great programming on like the obscure cable channels that you don't watch as often, like I don't know, A&E or
what's the one channel? TLC?
not Discovery. There's some other I don't remember. But yeah,
TLC got this one like Dr. Pimple Pop. It's a show about people with these huge pimples that affect their lives, and she goes in there and takes it out. It's fucking. I saw literally 10 minutes of it. It's fucking. I just can't watch it because like, who wants to see them open up a big tumor-sized thing on the back of your neck or wherever it's at? It's like, I mean, that's a show. I mean, all of these things are shows, and it's like you couldn't make a buck off of this weirdo with a bunch of tigers. So
the way the first episode started, if I remember right, the director guy for the documentary series that had this idea, and you've watched it more recently than me, but if I remember right, wasn't it like it started that he was doing something on like snake owners in Florida, and then it was just like someone said like, hey, check out this tiger I got in the back of my van, and we went and saw that, and that's what led to all this other stuff. So, I mean, the guy who made this almost didn't even catch wind of this story that, I mean, I don't know what was going on with the snakes, but I think it's safe to say, even if it was truly crazy, not as crazy as Tiger King was.
Another mystery is who blew up their production shed.
I'm assuming it was Joe Exotic, but I don't know.
As am I. I would say that's he hired somebody to do something while he was away. So
another mystery, and I caught that there was seedy stuff going on. I didn't put all this together. I read this somewhere else, but the what was he, like a strip club owner, the John Gruden looking guy, the fat guy with the terrible haircut?
Yeah, he's doing a lot of things. Yeah.
Basically, there's that thing where he's like, yeah, I got to work with the FBI because they got me dead to rights on this lemur. And I'm like, look, I'm not a legal expert. I'm pretty sure the FBI doesn't care about lemurs that much. I mean, I'm not saying that they are like pro people doing it, but clearly there's other stuff going on that they've got on him. And they like skirted around what that was. But I'm curious as to what this guy like actually did that they didn't bring up at all or couldn't find out maybe.
And he's like a low-key, very important guy in the last couple episodes. And like he's like the main reason why he's in jail and all this other stuff. Like he is like this kind of this bit character, and like he's kind of like the most important guy at the end of it.
Yeah. I just remember he said something about like, well, my lawyer said that they got me bent over a barrel and dead to rights. Like, well, you clearly are lying or have the worst lawyer of all time.
I was waiting for the what do you call it, the scene on the jet ski, since I saw that before, and I'm watching this. I'm like, when the fuck is this goddamn thing with the jet ski going to happen? It's like I don't know if it's the very last episode, but it's the
last episode, and it's towards the end, if I remember. Right.
Like, when the fuck does this fat ass with the jet ski go do this thing? And finally, here it is, like the last 20 minutes.
I think it was Traxler that brought this up too, that like, that he didn't want to do something one day, and they were just like, yeah, please, we need your quote. So he was like, well, fine, but only if you film me looking awesome on a jet ski while Eye of the Tiger plays. And they're like, fine, we'll do it.
Do that. Get it done. And again, we don't really see a whole lot of like I guess the actual guy who puts this documentary together. We see him every now and then. But we don't. I couldn't even tell you what his name is. But
no, I don't remember.
You see him every once in a while. But it's an unbelievable.
I had forgotten about this. Someone brought it up at work today. That I can't believe I forgot about this. Not the husband who always had his shirt off, which that's strange in its own. But the guy who Joe tried to hire to kill the lady who they interviewed while he was like naked in the bathroom. We're just like, what's going on here?
Yeah, why is he?
I'm not a drug expert, but you can see his arm, and there's all these holes, and it's like probably recent drug use from that. By the looks,
like even like the people that are supposed to be normal, there was like a detective, and you would look at the decor in his home, and there was like a tiger holding up this piece of glass as a table, and there were like
a monkey butler or something,
butler statue, and there were like these human head, mask, skull things on his wall, and it's like this is like one of the police guys or the detective on this thing, and I think you said like one of the most normal people was like the lawyer guy, this old lawyer guy, and he was like pretty frank, like, "Oh, that didn't happen."
Normal people, because even the normal people, for the most normal people, are the lawyer guy and the television reporter lady are like the only two who are even sort of. Yeah. And that's the crazy thing is, the guy who's missing both his legs, and I'm sure is probably quite strange in a lot of ways, but is easily one of the normal people of all of them.
And the lady that had her arm bit off seemed fairly reasonable too.
Yeah, there was a guy who was smoking a cigarette while he was in the back of a truck, pouring gasoline into something else. And that wasn't even like in the top 10 craziest things in that episode. Where anywhere else it would be like, oh my gosh, let's have an entire episode based around how dumb that is. But that was just like a ho-hum, like, oh yeah, that was kind of crazy.
We've spent like a half hour on this, and I feel like we've barely touched on but again, you could go literally.
I mean, well, they spent 7 episodes on it, and you could make a case they didn't even get that deep into it.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, I mean, because I was thinking, like, why is he limping? Why does he have a brace around his leg? And it's all because he tried to kill himself, like back in 1985, and drive his car off a bridge or into a pole. I'm like, oh, that's from that accident 30 years ago. He's still limping around. I felt like sometimes he had the brace on, sometimes he didn't, unless he had it on all the time, and I'm just not remembering it. But
he seems like a guy that definitely would put it on at times if he wanted sympathy from people. So.
And we're a half hour in, and we haven't mentioned that he got married to 2 guys at once, and one of them killed themselves just because.
And apparently they were both straight men who were also just high the entire time, basically turned into his sugar daddies.
And that doesn't even like get honorable mention in like the top 25 poll. That's not even honorable mention. North Carolina got 2 votes. Like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
so much stuff happened. So just. An unbelievable production. Hopefully, something comes up in the next week or 2. They get another episode. I don't know what's going to be about. An update on what they're doing now. So, what was the end of the very end? Didn't they say that Doc guy, that Doc Antle, didn't he get busted?
I don't remember if he got arrested or they just were like investigating something because they had found stuff. But it sounds like things are probably not going to go well for him either.
Well, that's another avenue.
Which we barely mentioned. We also barely mentioned that Joe ran for both president and governor in a 2-year span.
Did you have a hard time coming up with 5 things? Or you could have come up with obviously 20, 30 things, but dwindling it down to 5.
It was a little. Going into it, I didn't know that I was going to do a list of the 5 things, but basically, pretty quickly, I came up with the running for president and governor. Carol Baskins probably killed her husband. And then I'm blanking on what it was now. There was one other one that instantly. Oh, and then the Scarface guy basically barely getting mentioned at all, which and also one of the most normal people who spent 12 years in prison and also maybe killed somebody, which is strange.
It's a tremendous piece of business, and it's like you couldn't make that up, because if you made it up, people would say, "Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous."
No, if you listed all those things, they'd be like, okay, maybe these 3 things. You can't have all this stuff in here. There's no way all of that would happen.
No. So, in this, you can put it in because it's stuff that actually happened. So,
yeah.
It's good. I assume you're wearing the Final Four to commemorate this time last year at around the same time.
Yep.
Do you remember where you were at 1 month ago right now? Literally 1 month ago, right at 7:48 p.m., April 7th.
Yeah, we were watching. I think Denver probably just took the lead from North Dakota State in the first game, the 1-8.
What does Noah think? What's his thoughts? Let's get him on in now.
Noah's not with me right now. Brophy's the one.
He's not with you.
He was, and then he's gone now. So
your dog's making.
It's Brophy making the noise.
How's he been?
Good. That's actually why I was a little late. We were getting him. We got an underground dog fence installed in our yard, so we were doing a little training and stuff. So It's a big game changer. It's a game changer, that's for sure.
It's much easier when you just let the dog outside with the collar on and let them go wherever they want, not worry about it.
Absolutely.
A
Absolutely.
good fence. So there we go. And we spent a half hour on this Tiger King thing, and it's like we were.
One thing, and if we're done with this, I just want to bring up like similar that I know Krins. I talked about this. I think Stack left at this point. Second, have you seen or heard of Abducted in Plain Sight on Netflix?
I have not, no.
It came out. I'm pretty sure it came out last year. I think it was while I was in Aberdeen. It is not the same plot wise, and it's just I think an hour and a half long documentary. But it is the only thing I've seen that gave me the same feeling of just like confusedly, like, wait, what? How did they come up with that? And I'm not going to spoil the whole thing, but it's
just an hour and a half.
Some small town in Idaho in like the 1970s that got kidnapped, and she doesn't die. They've got interviews with her throughout the whole thing. So I mean,
Okay.
Very early on. Thankfully, she did not die. But basically, the people, the parents especially, where you're just like, wait, hold on, your daughter got kidnapped, and this is what you did, and just stuff where, and not like bad people who just ignored it, but like, and I'm gonna try to say this without like, but. Just, and not that everyone in a small town is this way. I'm not trying to say that, but just like, oh no, that can't be what you came up with. That's, but
right.
like, but at least you did the right thing then after that. Like, oh no, you did that and made it even worse. And just within the first 20 minutes, you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe.
So, Abducted in Plain Sight, and it's an hour and a half long documentary.
I'm guessing it's about an hour and a half. I know it's just one.
Just
like,
all right. I'll give it a look because apart from the NFL draft, they ain't got nothing to watch, sports wise and stuff. We don't care about anything coming up here until maybe the middle of May when baseball starts out in the middle of Phoenix. Play. In fact, Krins, let me ask you this.
Ask me this.
Why is this a good idea for baseball? Like, I mean, I looked online, and Arizona's got over 2,500 cases of the coronavirus. So what's to say that they won't shut down and stuff? Like, can we wait a little bit until more of these states have removed the shelter in place, which it's working, so it appears. Iowa, I don't think is under it right now. South Dakota, North Dakota. I think North Dakota just started today, or they're going to put something in place. But I mean,
Iowa is not in shelter in place, but basically anywhere you'd want to go other than the grocery store is cool.
So it's basically
not sheltered in place, but your options of places.
It's a Falls is doing and Fargo is doing of like, hey, we're going to do this ourselves. Like, we're going to self-quarantine ourselves and make only the essential places open. And, the state's not going to say anything, but we're going to do it ourselves. That's pretty much how it's going, right?
At least, I think that's supposed to be how it's been, and that's basically how it is in Northwest Iowa.
The numbers, I think, I saw a story that they're optimistic that maybe they're going to decline a little bit. So we'll see where we're at at the end of April. But I just don't see what the point is of playing games in Arizona, especially if you're still having all these
weather
coronavirus cases. I get the weather, but it's going to be 110 degrees here pretty soon.
You want to know what the point is, Stackin? The point is that
season.
voters want to get their money from the television contracts.
Oh, that's true.
Players want their money for playing the games.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're seeing baseball until maybe July 4th. Unless something drastic happens here in the next month, I don't think baseball is going to come back. It's not going to be this month, obviously. It's not going to be next month, I don't think. I mean, and I guess they need like another spring training. That's going to be at least 4 weeks, 3 at the least. So you need a month to get ready. And I think July 4th, maybe.
Because the story out there right now is that baseball is hoping to play by mid-May.
Well, they got to get going with spring training in 2 weeks now.
That's if they do this one location in Phoenix where there's 10 park. I've seen the 4th of July idea get floated out there. I think that's a great idea. If you're able to do that, if crowds are able to gather at that point, I don't know if
At
that's
the end of the season. If you want to, how many games do you want to play? 80 games? You want to play 100? You want to play 120? You may have to do this at the end of the season. Say, all right, in November we're going to go and we're going to play 3 weeks or a month worth of games in Arizona or whatever to get more games in, because November baseball anywhere is a bad idea.
Yep.
So who knows what's going to happen with playoffs and how they're going to do that.
Charlie's many crazy ideas that he would just like to see. There's a lot of reasons, but I think one of the reasons football's so popular and baseball is not as popular is because there's so many more games. I would love to see a baseball season where they're just like, nope, 20 games, we're playing over like twice a week, and we're not playing every day. We're only playing on like Wednesdays and Saturdays. And if they did that and it was less often, I think baseball would get incredibly high ratings then, where it would just be like, oh my God.
Every team once. You play 29, 30 games. Everybody plays everybody one time.
I think PK Subban mentioned that for the NHL, like they just do single elimination tournament to determine who wins the Stanley Cup this year.
Well,
I don't think that's going to happen.
With hockey and basketball, like you could almost say, all right, the season's done. We just got to go to the playoffs now. We're not playing any more regular season games. We're just going to the playoffs. What the standings are, the standings aren't going to change a whole heck of a lot. It's going to be, with the Lakers or the Clippers. On the other side, it's going to be, Milwaukee or Boston. At this point, we don't have to play the last 10 or 14 games of the season. Let's just get to the playoffs and go.
I think you need to play, like 4 games in the regular season, because there are certain teams out. Is that a Diet Sunkist lemonade, by the way?
It's the Diet Sunkist, no lemonade.
The Diet Sunkist lemonade is the bee's knees, let me tell you.
Yeah.
It's very, very good. But anyway, I think you need 4 games.
Standard Diet Mountain Dew.
I don't have anything right now. I'm woefully unprepared. I'll have to go get a Diet Dr. Pepper here to just.
What is that behind you? What is that thing in a? It's a plastic thing. It's white.
It's a picture frame.
It's a picture.
Yeah, it's a picture. No, that's Kelsey's aunt getting married there. That was B, and that's before me.
I was right. It was a picture of a wedding. It just wasn't yours.
It wasn't ours. No. Anyway, so I'll just use the Minnesota Wild for example. I think they're 1 point or 2 points out of a playoff spot in the NHL. I think you would need 4 or 5 games. Both you could do that in the NBA and the NHL to see if there's any change in playoff positioning, like if the last place team for the last playoff spot can hang on, or if someone makes a charge. Maybe some seeding gets changed a little bit here. I think that would be reasonable. And then you do best of 5s until the finals, and then do best of 7. Or if you want to do best of 5 for the finals too.
I'm good with the best of 7 all the way through. I'm good with that. Maybe, best of 5 first round, maybe. But I'm good with it.
I think it's a 75% chance we don't see any more NBA or NHL this year. And I think a greater chance we don't see any more hockey than we do the NBA. But I don't know.
Like for me, at least, if the NBA doesn't come back, I'm sure you don't care. I really don't care, I guess, if the NBA, I don't know how Charlie feels. If there's no NBA, it's like, oh, well.
Yep.
Whatever. Charlie, do you really care? Or?
No, I like the NBA playoffs and would like to see them, but I'm not going to pretend like I would be incredibly disappointed if they didn't get played this year, especially after taking, a months-long break 3/4 of the way through the season.
I don't even care if the NHL playoffs don't happen. I don't right now. I'd like to see baseball start.
I would like the baseball. That's one thing.
Yeah, I want the Twins to do good, but then I'm more looking at the football season, and I'm curious to see how that's going to shake out. That's 5 months away, but 5 months is going to come faster than we expect, even though this last month felt like a freaking year. That's what I think what everyone's kind of focused on or looking ahead to is, okay, when is this virus going to be? When are crowds going to be able to gather again? When can especially for college football? When can teams
Not just
start getting together.
where people, even if they're allowed to, are going to be comfortable to go where
Exactly.
thousands are all that close to each other and someone randomly coughs or sneezes.
I've already come up with the schedule idea for the NFL. I'll save that for later.
Go now. We got.
Well, okay, so if you want to do the 16-game schedule release, that's totally fine. If you want to go shorter, I have the perfect 12-game or 10-game schedule here. You go, you play your teams in your division twice, so that's 6 games right there. You play whatever interconference, like this year, the Vikings play the NFC South, so you play those 4 teams. 10 games right there. That's good enough. If you want to do 12 and have like the other 2, like where you finish at, the NFC East would be the Cowboys, the NFC West would be the Seahawks, that's fine. I think for like the Vikings are supposed to play the AFC South this year. Hold off on that because if you can't go to the games, those teams only come to your building once every 8 years. So just push that back to next year. NFC, like the interconference, you could see those teams more often. So that would be the 10 or 12 game schedule that I could see make the most sense. I hope they can get 16 games in, but I think at this time, aren't we all just kind of living day by day? So it's like
I would hope to hell by the time August and September comes, we've got this thing kind of done with, for God's sakes. I mean, it's been a goddamn struggle, but Jesus Christ, we got to go through.
Well, we can still have problems. I mean, I don't want to pretend like I'm an expert on this. I've probably followed it the least of us 3. But, I mean, at some point, they're just going to run out of Americans to be infected because they will have. Now, you can get infected a second time, maybe, which would bring up its own problems. But,
I think they were predicting another wave potentially in October.
Like, I feel that's the problem with the football, like, not the beginning of the season, but the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if this happens again and we're halfway or even in the playoffs of football, what the hell is football going to do? Because, these are basketball, baseball, but this is fucking football, and people love the football. So they're going to have to postpone and cancel some stuff if it comes up again. But
if you want to throw in other football stuff, at least college football wise, at like the Division I level, I mean, like football is what pays for like all the other sports too. So I mean, if they're like, oh, we can't play softball or track or some of these, they're like, well, that's unfortunate for those kids, but it isn't a big deal. But like, if they're like, hey, we're not going to play football this year, they're like, oh, that's like
all of our money,
millions of dollars we're just not going to get.
Didn't the schools lose 66% of their normal money that they would receive from the NCAA, and that was in large part because of March Madness? I mean, that getting canceled, that they had like $600 million, and then they dropped to 250 million, 300.
Yeah, I mean, that's not good. But I think for football wise, I mean, like you start talking about like Big Ten teams not getting their $60 million you're in the Big Ten paycheck from TV. Like those are like that's a lot of a
big chunk of the pie.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you call the term for the sports that aren't football, basketball?
Non-revenue?
That's what I was saying. The non-revenue sports. I don't know why I forgot that, but like you start talking about a lot of
the Olympic sport,
men's soccer and archery or equestrian and stuff like that. It's going to start getting cut like really quick.
I am very happy, Stack, and there's no Olympics because, as you know, I don't give a shit about the Olympics.
Yeah, I'm fine with no Olympics this year. I would have actually liked them to just go with no basketball, no soccer, no baseball, no golf, no softball. Just go with like the true Olympic sports. If that were possible this year, I would have liked to see just the swimming, the track and field, the
wrestling and badminton. Let's do it.
Badminton, table tennis, like all those other sports. I don't need the team sports. The basketball and baseball, team gymnastics. That's fine.
Have they brought back the hacky sack races yet or not? Is that next?
The 3-legged race is scheduled, I think, for LA in 2026.
Just to be clear, that's not 2 people. That's 1 person with 3 legs. It's not two people getting their leg tied together.
Yeah, they.
It's very few people have a third leg, but these are the people that compete in this event.
That's why the circus is no longer going to be around by 2028. They're getting ready for that event in the Olympics.
The last time they had the three-legged man race was in the 24 Olympics in LA, so it was quite some time ago, nearly 100 years, according to some math statistics. Talked about the baseball idea. I like that idea just to do it till we get this thing started. Spring training facilities in Arizona, play a bunch of, double headers where this team plays this team, and then after that, two other teams play to get some games in. That would be nice. NFL draft. I'm fine with them having this draft. I don't think there's any reason why they can't have this draft. I like that they don't get to bring the players in to do these personal workouts. Like, if you want to see a guy, like, you can say, all right, guy, we're going to have a little teleconference camera situation, and we're going to tell you do this, do that. We want to see you do certain things. Not great or ideal, but, I haven't heard of any team doing that.
Interesting insight here, because I interviewed Christian Rose in our newspaper about that. And I should say I didn't ask him about this because it was in the middle of like a 10-sentence answer, and by the end of that, I'd forgotten about that. But obviously, they did not have the pro day at South Dakota State. It was supposed to be, I think, like 2 weeks ago on Friday or last week Friday, but would have had it, but that was, canceled because everything changed. But he said they did a virtual pro day, and I didn't ask him what it was because I got sidetracked with other stuff. But basically, I'm assuming they basically just filmed him doing it and just like held up the results, the stopwatch or the measurements or whatever, to say like, well, this is what he did, and you can see it.
I do think, though, that's where some of these smaller school prospects are getting. It's certainly a disservice to them. I think we can all sit here and say that Christian Roseboom was one of the most dominant defensive players we've seen at South Dakota State. Maybe in our, in the D1 era, right? He was great. I would hope that he gets drafted. At least would get a shot at a training camp. I would say the latter's definitely more likely. But had he had a pro day, he could have made more of a name for himself. Maybe, he rises up some boards. I do think the one.
I don't know how much of a pro day would do. I think pro days are things that are good. I don't think they make as big of a difference as people think they do at times. But certainly, you would rather have it than not have it.
The one thing I will be curious to see, though, is how many teams get overpsyched about a certain player because that either through the combine or pro day. Like, turn on the game film. What does the game tape tell you? I think that's where it's going to be more key, and the scouts as well. They have to say, like, okay, we feel really good about it this year. And then I'm also going to be curious to see how the IT teams handle this and get hacked during picks and stuff. Maybe Joe Schmo from Cleveland is really calling in, trying to get the Steelers pick.
Can we not just use a fucking phone? Say, hey, I want this guy. Thank you.
I like that you bringing that up, though. Where it's like the Washington Redskins, via a thing we got, have traded all of their players and their good draft picks to this team for a backup kicker. I don't know why they did this, but it went through our system. So I guess would mostly. So I guess the Oakland Raiders or the Las Vegas Raiders have all these picks now.
Yep. The Green Bay Packers traded Devontae Adams and all their star players minus Aaron Rodgers for Mitchell Trubisky. Oh my God! To back up Aaron Rodgers, what a bold move, Cotton. Let's see.
When the hell was the draft here? What, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks?
23rd through the 25th.
So 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yep.
Wow. So we're getting into that. We'll probably have something with that, maybe. So NFL draft.
Probably watch more of it than I do a lot of years because there's just literally no sports going.
Right.
Like I don't know who's going to get picked or what's going to happen. This is what sports are usually like.
I was looking at some drafts like receivers. I think last week I was looking at some receivers. I'm like, all right, who would I want the Vikings to pick?
Tyler Johnson. Oh, no, okay.
Well, that'd be fun. Yeah, I'm looking at. Oh, okay, these are the receivers that are out there. So that's good news there. I asked the question whenever the hell we did a show last. What's ESPN going to do? What are all these stations going to do? And apparently, their solution the first week was to do nothing and take their shows off the air and not air them and just not have shows, talk about nothing. And now some of them are, I guess, back on the air and they're talking about whatever the hell they're talking about. So a lot of old games, a lot of video game bullshit. I don't care about the video game stuff. I can't.
I'm right there with you. Right there with
you. Like a million people are watching
video games, but they're not games they'd be playing. If they were playing like Street Fighter 2 or Mortal Kombat, I'd be like, oh, that game when I was, or Super Mario 3. I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll watch that. But
like you'd be in the dorms, I'm sure guys would be playing video games and be like, it'd be cool to, to tape this or to do announcing for this game or play this back like it was an actual game with my two buddies that are playing the video game. But then 10 years later, it's like, yeah, I don't want to watch Kevin Durant play whoever the hell on NBA 2K20.
I got asked to be in the bracket pool for this NBA 2K. I think it's like, oh, it could be a fun substitute for March Madness. Like, hey,
no,
I don't give a shit about the about this tournament. And B, it just because it's a 160 matchup, it does they're doing that based on the player rankings. It doesn't matter what the rankings are. So it's a complete crapshoot. I may as well just flush $20 down the drain. At least that someone else is going to get the money at some point. That's exactly what this is like.
I agree with what you're saying. To be fair, you could say that all gambling, anyways, is that.
You could absolutely do that, but at least if we were betting on the Final Four and stuff, or on March Madness, be like, okay, pretty sure that we're going to see Dayton go a long ways, Michigan State, and you have
probably, but Michigan State. There was that year a few years ago where they lost in the first round,
and Middle Tennessee State,
myself included, ended up winning it all.
Yeah.
I still agree with what you're saying about Stackett.
You just have it's a far less more of a crapshoot. The NCAA tournament is than the 16 NBA players not even playing with their own team. That's the whole.
80% sure this is going to happen in a real NCAA tournament. I could be wrong. I could be one of the 20% of the time. Or, in the case of one seeds, you're 99% sure they're going to win in the first round. But
shouldn't you, as if you're participating in this tournament, should you have had to play with your own team, not just taking Giannis and the Bucks or the Nets or something? This is ridiculous.
Don't make them play. I assume they did have to play with them.
No, they're just I want to see Trae Young, play with the Hawks and go up against, Malcolm Brogdon and the Indiana Pacers, something like that. That'd be at least something more interesting.
Play old school NBA Jam than NBA 2K, whatever year it is.
NBA Jam or something. A lot of old games out there, which you watch a little bit, all right, I know what happens or I know who wins. Sports for me, I gotta watch with not knowing the outcome. If I know what the outcome is, that kind of defeats the purpose of me of watching.
I know. I watched the Minneapolis Miracle last week. I caught the tail end of that, and then I felt like my heart was racing just watching that fourth quarter. Oh my God, I don't remember that, or I remember this play. How did it come to this? And then, of course, the ending, but.
So you can look back at it and say, if they would have stopped him here on 3rd and 2, we wouldn't have needed a 70-yard touchdown pass with no time left to win the damn game.
Or they had the Final Four games on from last year. I think we didn't see those. We didn't watch the game. We were there live. We didn't get to see the telecast. So you see far more stuff doing that.
I generally agree with Krenz. There's some games I can rewatch, but if you're talking the full 2 or 3 hour game, there's not a lot of those that I want to watch from the. I might watch it towards the end, but definitely not at the beginning. But this seems this is just me randomly thinking of ideas, which I think some are good, some are not great. But this seems like this would be the perfect time to be hey, let's air random games from 20 years ago that if you want to cheat in the World Cup, you can see who win. But
you don't know.
NBA regular season games or NFL games from 23 years ago that like were good or close, but not the ones you think of as all-time classics, or like the '85 Bears, where you're like, well, I know if it's the Dolphins game they lose, but anyone else they win. And you're just watching it where but to be like, I actually don't know who wins this game. So it's kind of interesting. It seems like that would be something I would try to find, like, hey, these are forgotten gems that, unless you're a diehard fan of one of these two specific teams, it is unlikely you're going to remember the result, because NBA and Major League Baseball, when they're playing, 82 or 162 games, you can be incredibly good in the NBA and still lose 20 games. If you're in the MLB, you can be fantastic and still lose 60 games. There's a lot of games that you could lose and be like, well, I don't know. I would assume this team wins, but I don't remember what happened in this game in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
I hope this goes for a while just to see how deep they got to go to the archives here, because we're getting a little deeper here. 3 weeks in or so, we're getting past the normal stuff that you may see in the off season or replays of games that they always usually show. I think FSN is going to show some World Series games, like the '91 World Series here in the next week or two. The Game 1, Game 2, Game 6, Game 7. So that's something different. Is getting deeper because they got all the games that have ever been played for the most part in modern times. And I don't know how, I'm sure it was just perfectly normal at the time, but another thing is, I've mentioned this to Charlie, like you watch these games, whatever game is on now, I could turn it on and I would have no idea what was going on. I wouldn't know the score, the time, the quarter, the first down, third down. I wouldn't know any of it because nothing's on the screen. And it took till like the mid to late 90s for them to put the score on the screen at all times, to put the quarter, to put all this. How the fuck did it take this long to do that?
They were showing Arizona against Kentucky in I think it was the 97 or 98 championship. And all they had was they didn't have the scoreboard there at all times. They didn't have the game clock. I think they barely had the shot clock showing up half the time too. So you're like, how much time is left? When's the media timeout? How long? What's the score here? So yeah, and that was late 90s.
The worst I can think of is my dad got some DVDs of like random Nebraska football games, and there was one, I don't even remember who it was they were playing. It was like the early 90s or the 80s, maybe even. That like not only do they not have the first down line or the line of scrimmage line, they don't have the time or the score. They don't even have what down and distance it is or state it is. And you can't see the first down markers half the time. And I didn't even make it out of the first quarter. Where I'm just like, well, yeah, that's a 4-yard run it looks like, but I don't know what. Like, that's the 8th play of this drive. I don't have a clue if that was 3rd and 2 or, 1st and 20.
Right.
Because if there's a penalty, there's times that they don't even show it. So you're just like, oh, I guess they moved the ball back. That must have been a penalty. I don't know what it is.
Like, you got to really be paying attention, or the announcers have really got to be something. Or, like, right now, ESPN's got that 1995 Angels and Orioles, where Cal Ripken broke the streak for most games played in a row. Mm-hmm. And this game was actually an ESPN game that ESPN did. And this, I don't know, this looks like it's terrible quality for me. This looks like somebody's VCR. It's on ESPN, and this is 95, and they do actually have a little score bug in the top left of the score, the inning, the outs, and the count. So that is a good 95, at least.
Now.
You see a lot of these old games. You can tell they're old, but the quality's fine. Like, I don't know if I'm looking at this wrong, but this game looks awful.
Yeah, let me concur with you.
I have it on ESPN2, and I'm watching Ali Frazier 3.
That probably looks better than this.
I don't watch boxing that often, but it's not. For 1975,
honestly,
it's not bad quality.
Considering that's 75 and this is 95, you would swear to God there's like no difference between these games. I don't know, Stacking. If you,
I just turned it on. You're right. This is like
a VHS copy that they took. Like, they didn't have a copy of the game, so they got it off of YouTube.
I feel like I'm watching this.
It's possible that somebody had it on YouTube And for weird, strange copyright reasons we don't understand, they just took an old school 1990s camcorder and just recorded the YouTube video, and that's why it's so low.
I feel like this is like Alvin and the. I don't know if you guys ever watched this Alvin and the Chipmunks movie where they go with the Chipettes or whatever. They have to go all around the world in these hot air balloons, and
I did. I don't remember a great about it.
They're getting dolls with all these like diamonds and rubies and stuff in it to get to these.
There's some point where there's a snake.
Yes, yeah.
Snake
pit, and then like the chipmunks are gonna die. Like some island natives are gonna kill them or something. Like it's just weird. But that video or that movie there, if you can call it a movie, has the same video quality of this Angels Orioles game.
It's weird, and this is.
I just turned it there, and it's a commercial right now. So
I mean, it's very weird. And good news is they got this Bulls documentary that's coming out in 2 weeks instead of June.
The least surprising thing that they're like, no, we're not going to do it until June, and then like a month later, they're like, yeah, never mind, we're going to play this.
Oh, we're not done with it yet. Oh, we're done with it now. Oh, thanks.
What a great idea for them to release Peyton's Places, though. That was just on ESPN Plus, and I recorded every episode so I can watch it later because.
What is this? I've not heard of this.
Peyton's Places. It's about
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, Peyton Manning. He'll just go to various places like famous plays, famous coaches.
100th anniversary.
Yeah. Yep. So he went all over here. Like he threw a ball from, I don't know, like some tall building in New York to another guy down there. He goes to Chicago and eats with Brett Favre and one of those the famous Chicago Bears fans with the sunglasses, with the shades, and
like he went down.
Yeah, like
he went to Louisiana to take some dick pics with Favre. I watched that one.
He
went to Miami to do some blow with Michael Irvin. I saw that one.
He does some Howard Cosell with Al Michaels doing that.
Oh my God, you guys weren't kidding about this video on ESPN. This is terrible.
So I was very
happy. O.J. Simpson, I don't know what they're going to do, but I hear it's just tremendous, whatever they're going to do. I mean, look at this. It literally looks like
You see the thing that O.J. Simpson's like, I'm pretty sure Carol Baskins killed her husband.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up.
Irony.
And then someone said, finally an expert weighs in.
You would know. Like, this literally looks like one of us taped this game 25 years ago. I'm like, hey.
Shaking all the time.
It's got like little rolling stuff, and it's like, hey, let's watch this whole game again. It's like, oh yeah, this looks like a 25-year-old VHS tape. This is odd. Just odd. NBA TV, they've got a lot of stuff on that. Baseball.
This boxing, I can't take that baseball anymore.
They were showing the 84 World Series today on MLB Network. They're showing a lot of games from this year today on the ESPN channel. A lot of football, basketball games, college. There's been a lot of WWE programming on FS1. They've shown WrestleManias on Sunday nights last couple of weeks on ESPN. There's been a lot of wrestling content on the Fox networks and ESPN.
Oh, good.
Did you? I did not. Did you watch WrestleMania, Krenz?
A little of it.
I didn't see any of it except I saw some clip on Twitter of like Kevin Owens saying this is a WrestleMania moment and jumping off, hitting a guy through a table or something. It was strange. Like, I did not realize until watching that clip like how important the intro music and the fans yelling and stuff is when they're in an empty arena and there's no sound other than them like hitting stuff. It is very much like the Emperor has no clothes on kind of thing. We're just like, oh, it turns out it's not the wrestling I liked. It was the people yelling and screaming things.
Yes.
After all.
All I know is that apparently Rick Pitino, who's now the head coach of Iona, because that's a good move, reached out to Richard Pitino and said, hey, if whoever was facing Brock Lesnar, if Brock Lesnar wins, then Iona will go to Minnesota. If Brock Lesnar loses, then Minnesota has to come to Iona, and then Richard's like, no, Brock Lesnar is a University of Minnesota person. I have to go with Brock Lesnar here. I'm not going to cheer for the other guy. I don't know if Rick Pitino ended up taking that or not. So because Brock Lesnar lost, now I think Minnesota potentially has to go to Iona.
Wait, unless he backed out. So, I mean, Stacken, are you saying it's possible that Rick Pitino had a chance, but he blew it?
I'd say there's certainly a chance here that the opportunity went out the window.
Shame. Our friend Matt Helverson, he's got this chat. Do you see this chat or not?
No.
I do not. Oh, wait, what if I click
Matt
this?
Helverson says he has enjoyed marble racing on Facebook. Honest to God.
Oh, yeah, no, I see it now. Yeah.
Honest to God, of all the things, that's not one of the worst things I've seen. It's quick. It's like a couple minutes long. There was like this blue it's amazing. I don't know how they do this. These courses are like in the dirt, and they get like all these 20 marbles, and somehow, I mean, that's fascinating to me just watching that. He's also watched the D1 National Championships and saw Brock Lesnar win his heavyweight title in 2000. So,
I saw recently. I didn't click on the story. I wish I would have now, but that like there's somewhere in New Jersey that like is taking sports bets on like ping pong, not on the marble racing, but on like
ping pong in Asia,
ping pong in Russia or something. This is like the only place where they're playing relatively standard-ish sports where, you know, there's new stuff. And it was just like, well, I guess, and someone basically like bemoaning like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to gamble on this now.
I'm just going to throw it out there. You don't have to gamble on it.
Yeah,
you don't have to.
Right now, you've got a problem. I mean, there's some gambling that I think you can be like, no, you're just having fun, but that kind of stuff, I think you've got issues.
Or you have no idea what's going on, and you're putting money on it. MLB Network, they've got the 68 World Series on between the Tigers and Cardinals. It's all in black and white.
I'm assuming Bob Gibson pitched well in that World Series.
I believe he pitched very well in this series. It's not terrible quality, but it is 1968. It is black and white.
Is it better than Angels Orioles on ESPN?
It's a lot more clear than that. Yes, not as cloudy as that. And the thing that pisses me off about MLB Network is they've got to have more. I mean, baseball is older than any sport, and they've got to have all this footage. But they, like, you look at the NFL Network and all their shows, all their like biographies of football life, all of that stuff. It seems like on a weekly basis when that's in season, they've got a new one every week.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like baseball does maybe one or two a year. It's like, how do you not have hundreds of these? Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, Ken Griffey, McGuire, Sosa, Randy Johnson, all of these guys. How do you not have all of these?
I guess I don't know this for a fact. I'm assuming the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame opened first and has been open the longest. Yeah. So they would have the most people they could pick and profile and have footage of. It seems like that would be a very not even a slam dunk, because some people can't slam dunk. That would be a layup on a 6-foot hoop. That would be easy to do. I don't know why they have not taken that shot.
It'd be a home run at the old Yankee Stadium. That's what it would be like.
They've got like
or New Yankee Stadium. New Yankee Stadium. That's the easy one.
If it was 6,000 feet above sea level, the picture was throwing meat.
It's like Larry Walker hitting a home run at Coors Field in the 90s.
They've got this. They're showing in the 68 series the view like literally almost behind the umpire's shoulder, a little further back, and it's not the worst view. You can see the pitch coming in, and so this is a good thing because I've never seen this before broadcast. So they can go deeper in their archives, and I'm taping a lot of stuff. And there was a Magic Bulls game on too. If this isn't from like 1996, and they messed up on this. This is a current Magic Bulls game, then go to hell. Nope, this is, I don't know what this is. This is a regular season game here between your Magic and my Bulls. Looks like maybe 92 or 93. Because this is the old Chicago Stadium. So this is something I've never seen. This is good. This is maybe Shaq's rookie year probably.
Channel this on?
NBA TV. So this is Joyce 92, 93 before he retired. Michael Jordan currently is 24 of 41 from the field, so he apparently scored like 60 points in this game. He's got 53 points at the moment. What is this? Matt Elverson says he watched all 3 NASCAR iRacing races. Overall, it's decent. His wife thought it was real the first time she looked at it. So.
Also, I'm going to give you my final 4 for next year.
I saw something. I'm like, could we just for a one goddamn day get through the season without coming up with her?
I'm very upset with Joe Lunardi because he took my team that I really think is going to do some awesome things next year. That'd be Crichton. I'm going to take
Not Crichton.
Some people in the Crichton area of Mobile think they've seen a leprechaun.
Whoa,
Leprechaun.
what's that from?
That you know the leprechaun in Mobile?
Huh?
You know the leprechaun in Mobile, Alabama video we watched? Yeah. That's what the anchor says, like the Crichton area of
Crichton.
Mobile. So I got Creighton, I got Virginia, I got Villanova, and I got North Carolina. I'm going to squeeze North Carolina in ahead of Kentucky and Duke. So I got 2 ACC teams and 2 Big East teams.
Well, based off North Carolina's amazing year this year, that makes sense.
I'm gonna just we're gonna try again. They got some good recruits coming in next year. We're gonna rally around them. But Virginia and Creighton are my 2 teams that I'm really looking forward to watching next year.
Give me a blue team, give me a red team, give me a black team, and a green team.
Wait. So you want Michigan State or Oregon?
Oregon, Iowa.
Two green teams, a black team, Iowa, and a blue team. Kansas.
Okay, so yeah, then we're going to take Iowa and Kansas and
Based on
in Indiana and Oregon or Michigan State.
Yeah.
Very good.
Bubba Wallace, NASCAR driver, like quit in the middle of the race. He crashed and he just like, oh, I'm done. And like in real life, his sponsors said, all right, we're done with you then. Like in real life. It's like, this is a video game. Who the hell cares who cares?
That's pretty dumb.
Sponsorship to drop someone over something that happened during a video game.
Can I ask what Blue Emu is? Like, is this Liberty Mutual's cousin or something? Like, Limu Emu is this cousin?
I think it's the stuff that Johnny Bench advertises. And all I remember is he ends it with he says, and you don't stink. Don't know what it does, but apparently it's some product that used to smell bad.
Is it
like Ben Gay? It's like something you rub on so you don't hurt.
Oh, okay. All right. But
like, I'm sad I did not tape this Bulls Magic game. I'm sure it'll be on again, but like, this is what Charlie's talking about. A game.
Yeah, just random games.
Like, all right, this looks like it's like Shaq's rookie year against Michael Jordan and the Bulls. It's like, all right. Like, that's.
Yeah, that going in, I would imagine we'd be like, well, but I don't know that.
And Michael Jordan scored like 55 in this game. Like, oh, wow, 55 points. That's great.
And apparently Steve Kerr played for the Magic.
Sure, there he is, right there.
did you know Blue Emu is an official partner of Major League Baseball?
I'm assuming that's why Johnny Bench was one of their spokespeople for it, maybe.
The hell?
So video games, a lot of old games. I think what Fox played, they're playing like Super Bowls in like every Sunday, so that's kind of cool. So it's interesting to see what these stations ended up doing with all this stuff. I've got a trivia question if you want to do that now or later.
Nice. Yeah. Oh my God, there's competition. There's so little competition now.
Like, why not trivia shows? There used to be a couple of like ESPN trivia back like
the Schwab.
It seems like now would be the perfect time.
Yep.
That you when we were at South Dakota State, they had that one browser that some classes made you use, so like you couldn't
lockdown browser.
Yeah, I mean, like ESPN could do that from people's houses. I mean, you could do it from there. You just have to use this browser, so you can't. I mean, I suppose you could still cheat.
I mean, that's a good idea. Then we're like, Like, did they not realize, oh, hey, you can have like another computer right next to you? It's like, this is not
Yeah.
foolproof.
I realized that 3/4 of the way through saying that because that's why.
By the way, I really like that Matt Halverson's watching this year.
He's a
Appreciate it.
loyal listener.
Appreciate it. Listen to the podcast too. It's coming
Oh, yeah.
out.
I miss Matt Halverson and how he helped me cheat in media law.
All-decade team is in. I'm sure. Have you seen the all-decade team, the 2010s for?
Yeah, it's just It's just whatever.
NFL
Yes. A glancing blow. Have you seen any of it?
I saw it. Now.
Well, what do we got? 40-some guy. Let's say first 1 to 10 wins here. All right.
Okay. Oh.
You and you. This is the question.
We have to name him. I thought you were just posing just random stuff. Okay, let's do it. Yeah. All right.
52 players made it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say first 1 to 10 wins, I guess. And if there were maybe, I think there were 8 players that were unanimous selections. If you get one of those, I will count it as 2.
Okay. Who goes first?
Looks before anything else. Charlie Hildebrand.
Well done. I'll go with Tom Brady.
What was it, like two quarterbacks, 4
Yeah.
running backs, 4 receivers, 5 tackles, 5 guards, 2 centers, 2 tight ends, a flex. So about 4 players per position or so.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady is correct, and he was a unanimous selection. Surprisingly, people thought he was really good.
I'll take the other quarterback and go Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, yes, he was not.
Yep.
A unanimous selection. So 2-1, Hildebrand leads after 1.
Boy, it's not football season, and I missed a lot of football season because the first half because I was at work and missed stuff. So I am as
all-decade team.
I'm trying to think of like
Video games.
that stuff, and I mean, there's guys I can think of that like were really good.
Also, Matt Halverson says he misses you too.
Oh, that's nice. I'm going to go with
those are the 2 quarterbacks. No more. Well, Drew Brees.
there's other guys too that I can think of that I'm like, but what year did he retire? I mean, if they retired in like 2013, does that make it so they're less likely to be on there?
Would you have gone Drew Brees stacking or Aaron Rodgers? You'd have
Aaron Rodgers. I think you have to.
I'm thinking of this wrong. I was thinking of one specific position, and I should just switch to an easier one. I'm going to say J.J. Watt.
J.J. Watt. Yep, and he was unanimous. Charlie with 2 big ones out of the gate. 4-1 needed.
Adrian Peterson.
Oh,
the child beater himself.
Peter, he was unanimous as well. Stacking needed that one. He got it. Deservedly so, the best running back of the day. 4-3.
I'm going to go with, years wise, I think 2011 or 12 was his first year, so we played. I'm going to go with Von Miller.
Von Miller, I think, is on this list. Could be. Von Miller.
He hasn't been in the league 8 years, has he? 9 years?
I think 2011 or 12 was his first year in the NFL.
Really?
He was on our draft show. He was on that. Also, a unanimous selection. Charlie's gotten 3 of the 8.
Good God.
Because I'm pretty sure he was at Texas A&M when Nebraska played them their last year in Big 12 in 2010.
Wow.
That was his last year at Texas A&M.
We did our draft show, 2011, and he was in that draft.
I'll go Larry Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald. Yep, not unanimous, but definitely on there. 6'4", Charlie leads.
He's been in the NFL for a long time. He's really good.
Keeps on going.
I, as a former offensive lineman, feel like I should try to go for at least one offensive lineman. I'm going to go with the criminally underused with a terrible team, Joe Thomas with the Browns.
Joe Thomas, the 4th straight unanimous selection from Charlie. Stacking has 1, so there's only 3 to go.
I feel like not being as crystal clear on NFL stuff is helping me because I'm thinking of the most obvious ones.
I'm going to overthink it.
We'll go Calvin Johnson.
Calvin Johnson on this team.
Calvin Johnson was the one I was going back and forth with my second round one. Where I was like, I don't know. I couldn't remember how long he played in the 2010s and what year.
When do you retire? Charlie leads 8-5. No fault to stacking. You're playing well. It's just Charlie's birdied every hole thus far.
Yep.
You hard to catch him when he's not giving up any strikes.
I mean, technically, if I get this one with the unanimous one, that's
Pretty much.
and I got 10 points in 5 rounds. Now let's see. How about that was that year? Was he good for long? I'm going to go with Richard Sherman.
I assume so. Richard Sherman. One of 3 cornerbacks, Richard Sherman. Yes.
Earl Thomas.
Earl Thomas, one of the 3 safeties. Yes. For the win here, Charlie, you got a few. You're up 9.
That Seahawks secondary was really good when they had 2 of the best defensive backs of the entire decade.
They feel like a team that should have won more than 1 Super Bowl. They probably
Maybe if they gave it to Marshawn Lynch on the 1 yard line.
Maybe beat New England. Probably should have done.
And
they shouldn't have lost to Green Bay in the championship game as well. So
yeah,
I'm going to go with Ndamukong Suh.
Ndamukong Suh, he's on this list. Where is he at? Yep, yes he is.
Congratulations, Charlie.
Man, it has been a long time since I've won a trivia one.
Boom.
Can we keep going here?
Whatever you want to do. Yep.
All right. I will take Justin Tucker.
Justin Tucker, he was a unanimous one.
I should have just done that right away. God,
I'll give that to you. So I'll give you the same number of chances. 1, 2, 3, 4. 10-8. Let's say officially 10-8.
All right.
Justin Tucker was unanimous.
There's so many of these. I was thinking by position, and now I'm just thinking, how did I not think of this earlier? How about Rob Gronkowski?
Yeah, and maybe the best tight end ever, and he did make this list. One of 2 tight ends.
He didn't make the list, or
he
he
did?
did?
Oh,
He did. Okay. The other one I will go with. I think I saw them. Did I? Oh, now I'm second guessing myself. So I'm just going to go with the one that I know for sure. I'm going to say Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill is on this list, yeah.
Because I know there was controversy because they put him at a position that arguably should have put a couple of other people at.
One guy, I guess, kind of made this list twice. I guess he's on here twice. Weird. Tyreek Hill is here. Yeah.
I don't know that list, but I would imagine Tyreek Hill probably the fastest player, quite possibly the fastest player on that list.
Likely. How about running backs? We got Adrian Peterson. Who were the 3 other running backs? A little difficult.
So many running backs so different now, where it's just like, oh yeah, they were great for 3 years and then didn't do as much.
Oh, thinking.
They played the Texas USC game a couple nights ago on ESPN. And
people are losing their minds over that.
Yeah, Matt's saying, if you could imagine if they handed it off to Marshawn Lynch and they stuffed him at the one, they would have said, oh, I like to throw it. I think they actually ran the ball in that didn't they give it?
Yeah, they ran it once. They ran it once, but it was only like second down. I think they had a timeout. They had plenty of time.
This is like the USC Texas game with Pete Carroll with USC. Like there was like a goal line situation where like he did run the ball and he got stuffed and people were like, you remember
goal line, but it was 4th and 1, and if they would have gotten the first down, the game would have been over because Texas was out of time.
When he ran the ball and they didn't get it.
Yeah. Now, it is worth saying this though. They didn't run it with Bush, the Heisman Trophy winner. He was on the sidelines, and they ran it with LenDale White. I think if a more modern offensive coordinator now would have put Reggie Bush in the slot and had him like come in motion and run it with White up the middle while you pretend like you're also handing it off to Bush, and would make that much more difficult to read and stop that.
Like you look at all these.
Marshawn Lynch as my other running back.
Yeah, that's one I was thinking of too. Lynch on that list.
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch.
Is Le'Veon Bell on that list?
No.
Okay. And
the other two are LaShawn McCoy and Frank Gore.
Frank Gore, that's
I always forget about Frank Gore.
Yeah. USC would have had their championship trip.
What a club.
I mean, the one from the year before they did have it stripped away, so yeah.
Okay, there's another kicker on that list. Was it Steven Gostkowski?
Gostkowski. Cordero Patterson made it. Devin Hester made it as kick returners.
Oh yeah. Did Travis Frederick make it? I don't think he did.
Nope. There's this person whose name is my name, and it's also the name of your wife. He made it.
Oh, Travis Kelce is the tight end, huh? All right. Very good.
What are the chances?
Marshall Yanda on the list.
Yes, he would have been a unanimous guy as well. Jeez, you did. Crush the unanimous dudes. Marshall Yanda's there. Joe Thomas was unanimous selection as well as Aaron Donald. Unanimous.
I can't believe I forgot about Aaron Donald.
Well, that's part of it too. Like the years just kind of mesh together, so you can't remember who. Like I was thinking, maybe like how long ago did Marshall Falk play? It doesn't seem like it was that long ago. Edgerrin James or something like that.
Like I think we all remember the '90s release. I do pretty well of all right. Who played like specific years?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can look at this Bulls game like, all right, this is like 92 or 93 is when this was played. During the 92-93 season. It was at January 14th, 93. It was at the old stadium, and Michael Jordan's still playing. Shaq's there, so it's like, yeah, you know what it is. And some of these other games, like, I don't know, 2010, all the years run together. There's no difference between 2010 and 2014.
Yeah, like when we were in college, I don't know if you guys looked at sports this way, but I would just remember sports by like what grade or what year it was. Mm-hmm. And I could do that for a long time. And then all of a sudden I was alive for too long. And it's just like, nope, that's too many years now. I can't. I can do it best with college football still. But outside of that, like even if you said like Super Bowl, it's like, okay, I can figure out it was in the Super Bowl in like 2015. But I
like, where were you?
About stuff, and it would be much more difficult than it would be as opposed to, like 15 years ago when I've been like, oh yeah, it was this team this year because that was the year that I had the crush on this girl and we were going to her house the next day and we were talking about it, and there's just too much stuff and it runs together now.
Now it's like, who the hell knows? Who's in the Super Bowl 3 years ago? I'm like, I don't know. I would have to think who's in it this year.
Sure.
Who was in it the previous year? What year was that? What happened? I cannot tell you 3 years ago. Was that Falcons Patriots?
Yeah.
Or was that?
No, Fox had it this year, so that would have been 4 years ago. So 2 years. So this past year was Chiefs, 49ers. Last year was Patriots, Rams. The year before that was Eagles, Patriots, and then Falcons. then Falcons, Patriots. So
year before that was what?
Year before
Falcons, Patriots.
Was that wasn't Panthers Broncos, was it?
Yes, it was. I believe that.
Yeah.
I assume so.
Okay.
I had literally completely forgotten about both the Eagles Patriots Super Bowl and the Panthers Broncos one.
Panthers Broncos one that's easily.
Even though they were both like, well, the Broncos Panthers ones was relatively close. The Eagles Patriots one was really good, and I just completely forgot.
Yes.
Think of so US Bank Stadium's only been open for like 6 years. Think of the great games that building has seen. It has seen a fantastic Super Bowl. It saw the Minneapolis Miracle We saw great games at the Final Four last year. Like that's pretty amazing. Like if you could just look at each building, and maybe that'd be something too to look at sometime. Like each famous stadium or arena, look at their best games that they've ever had there. I think that'd be interesting. Like you could arguably say that.
Oh, yeah, that'd be something to do when we're bored. When we're all bored. Best games in a stadium. Top 5 games in a stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Based on.
Wow, this is the quarantine's perfect time for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that one would be pretty good. Because you find some of those you could do like the Los Angeles Coliseum even have like the Olympic.
NFL, you could dig in multiple sports and like the top 5 Metrodome.
Houston Astrodome, I think that's like a UCLA men's basketball team. I don't know what that weird.
Then you have to think, the Metrodome hosted the 92 Final Four, the 2000 Final Four. You got to remember, this.
Yeah, think of the Superdome and all of the Sugar Bowls that it's hosted, the Super Bowls, the Saints games.
Yeah.
And stuff.
The Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
That would be a fun blog post. We can do the Sports Lounge blog for that. We can all each pick a thing. You want to do top 5, you want to do top 10, whatever, and do a little couple sentences. I think that'd be something.
Mm-hmm.
Good job on that one. So, other dudes on this list to wrap this up: Antonio Brown, Calvin Johnson set in. Julio Jones, Darren Sproles is on this twice as a punt returner and as a flex. I mean, he's a goddamn running back.
What did he do? You can't be a flex if you weren't also a wide receiver. He was good catching passes out of the backfield. That doesn't make him that wouldn't make him a flex in my mind. And a flex would be like playing multiple positions, like Cordero Patterson.
Ooh,
except you have to be good.
Good, yes. Julius Peppers, Khalil Mack, Bobby Wagner, Patrick Peterson, Darrell Revis, Eric Berry.
The recent comment is the truest and saddest, but also kind of funny thing I've seen so far.
Eric Weddle, Tyrann Mathieu, who is like, 4th round pick and was great in college, has been great in the NFL. So that's your list. The only guy I had never heard of, Johnny Hecker, is a punter.
Yeah, from the Rams. He's so good. He throws passes. He's very, very good.
I saw that today. I'm like, who in the blue hell?
I don't know if I ever heard of that guy until right now.
I'm like, he had to be like a kicker. Everybody else on this list, I think I pretty much heard of. For Christ's sake, they're on the goddamn all-decade team.
Well, if we're going to go with the most obscure, I guess it would be to list off the linemen. So let's list off the offensive linemen.
Jason Peters, Tyron Smith, Joe Thomas, Joe Staley, Logan Mankins, Zach Martin, Alex Mack, Mo Pouncey, Evans, Jari Evans.
Jari Evans, yep. He played for the Saints and the Browns, I think.
That'd be a questionable one for me. That'd probably be my second guy. I'm like, I don't know if I know who that is.
I think Jari Evans was the only one that I didn't instantly recognize.
No. So what Twitter things have you seen these? There's like 9 things. You got to pick 3 of them.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a thing you got to pick your birthday, pick your birth date, and you do whatever the hell you do with that. Pick some candy bars. Pick this. Any other things you've seen or your favorites?
Oh, the Little Debbie one, that was how do people not pick zebra cakes?
I did not pick it. It may have been 4th on one. I liked it. Something that I was picking.
Zebra cakes are good, but how are you going to go against one of the Star Crunch cookies?
Star Crunch was 4th. It was either that or a Nutty Buddy.
You didn't pick the Nutter Bar. I mean, I picked that.
No, I did pick that. I picked oatmeal cream pie, zebra cake, and the Nutty Buddy bar.
Charlie?
Mine's the same as stacking, but instead of zebra cake, it would be
Star Crunch.
The Star Crunch, yeah.
And Star Crunch was 4th for me. I was debating that over the Nutty Buddy bar, but I thought the peanut butter would be better.
Apparently, some people really like honey buns. I don't think I've ever actually ate a honey bun.
I picked the honey bun. I felt like that was underrated. I'm like, yes, it's like a cinnamon roll type thing, donut roll. I picked that. I picked the Nutty Bar, and I picked something else that hasn't been said.
The candy bar one is impossible.
Buddy bar. I don't like when they change names.
There was one other one that nobody said yet that I picked. It wasn't the brownies. It was maybe the oatmeal pies. I like myself an oatmeal pie.
Yeah.
It's got to have the right amount of cream in it.
You know, like the brownies when you said the brownies, you mean like the ones with those sprinkle things on top of them?
Yeah.
Those are things that I remember getting as a kid thinking like, oh my God, this is going to be great. And I'd eat it and be like, oh, I wish I would have picked something else now. Because I like real brownies, but those didn't taste great from what I remember.
So a lot of things like that.
The candy bar is very, very difficult. I cannot pick 3 in that one. Let's find out.
I think for me it was like easier than because Butterfingers, like if you want just shit stuck to your teeth for the next 12 years and pick a fucking Butterfinger up, but unless you don't want that, then maybe
I do like Butterfingers, but I agree that
God damn, they taste good.
Like Cheetos for your fingers, where it's just like you got to fix this, otherwise they're going to be stuck there forever.
It feels like you bite on it and it's like cemented into your teeth.
Honestly, I hate leaving Snickers and Milky Way off the list, but I would almost go Reese's, Three Musketeers, and $100,000.
Wow. 3 Musketeers, wow.
Yeah.
That is an outrageous surprise pick right there. I mean, and if that's what you like, that's fine, but I'm quite surprised to hear that.
What's the list here? Give me the whole list.
Okay.
List them off pretty quick here.
Yeah, yep. Snickers, Twix, Mr. Goodbar, Reese's, Baby Ruth, Three Musketeers, Milky Way, Butterfinger, and $100,000.
This is not hard for me.
For me, it would be between 4. My 4th one and 3rd one would be either Snickers or Twix. I don't know. Would depend the day of the week. And then my other 2 in some order would probably be. Actually, you know what? It was going to be Butterfinger. All this anti-Butterfinger stuff has changed my mind, and I'm dropping that to 5th. I'm going with Reese's and $100,000 in some order. I don't know what order, but those would be my 4 in some order. Yeah. Reese's, $100,000, Snickers, and Twix.
I would get rid of Mr. Goodbar and Baby Ruth are 9 and 8. We don't even have to worry about that. I would probably agree. I think Butterfinger at 7. Then I like Twix. Don't get me wrong. I like Twix, but I would probably put them 6. And then you have
number 2. I'm putting them number 2.
Okay. Then
I'd say Snickers is overrated. It's perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm. The ice cream Snickers. Now that's where it's at.
I mean, for Christ's sake, just shoot me with a tranquilizer. I mean, Reese's. I think Reese's is a strong one. Who the hell doesn't like a Reese's?
Chad Myros does not like Reese's.
Go blow it out your ass. Reese's is 1. Twix is 2. Underdog Milky Way is 3.
I like Milky Way. That's
Milky Way is basically just Snickers without the peanuts in it.
Yep.
Sure. Caramel and who the fuck's not gonna turn down a chocolate and caramel? I mean, come on. Left Twix or right Twix? Which one better?
I feel I have to add also that as a kid I would get Butterfinger or Baby Ruths a lot. King size, not because they were the best, but just because they were the biggest. Which from a fat guy, I'm sure is stunning to hear that he wanted the largest candy bar. Although I was not fat then. I was pretty skinny until I was like a junior in high school. I'm going to go with the largest candy bar, not the one that actually tastes the best.
Just to go back to the Little Debbie one, a couple of ones that didn't get out. What looks like a Twinkie here, but it can't be a Twinkie.
A ho-ho, a Twinkie, and a ho-ho.
A Swiss roll was on there. The honey bun you mentioned, and then the ho-ho.
Well, that chocolate chip, like, $100,000. I rarely. I'm sure I've had it. I
didn't eat them very often, but they were ones where I was like, I don't know why I don't eat these more. These are good.
What is it? I mean, what are we talking here? What type of nut?
Can help me out here. Is it safe to say $100,000 is basically like a Milky Way that has the stuff that
it's got some like crispy wafers in it. Yeah,
like Hershey's Crisp. It's basically like a Milky Way that's got that crisp stuff in it too.
Not bad.
There's some caramel in there as well.
You'd be persuaded.
It's quite delicious.
Very good. Stacking, is your job been impacted? Your wife's job? What's been the deal?
Nope. we continue to work. Got a lot of people who we work, clients and stuff are going on Cobra. So my job is it's plenty busy. Kelsey is working from home. Students are now doing the distance learning thing, and all classes are online. So we are fortunate where we are not affected job-wise. So we're very thankful for that.
Do you normally work from home? Or
I do. Yep. No, I've worked from home ever since we moved up here. At some point, I will get a job doing something else. But right now, it's very nice because everyone is working from home now, like that worked in the Fargo office. So when that whole transition was going on, it's like, this is nothing new for me. Like I know exactly what we're doing here.
Charlie?
we are still going into the office. Some people are not, but I still am. Mostly just because I just literally live a block away, so it's easier to. But I mean, the only way we've been affected so far is that there are no live sports right now. So we are having fewer sports pages and doing feature stories. We normally write very few feature stories since it's a weekly paper, but are going the complete other end of the spectrum. Like I can tell you there's almost zero chance we would have interviewed, in addition to Christian Roseboom, also interviewed redshirt freshman defensive tackle Ryan Van Merrill, because he's from Sheldon. And he will be a redshirt sophomore next season at South Dakota State. We probably wouldn't have talked to either of them if not for this sort of thing. And that's not because it's not interesting. We just, as a weekly paper, you don't have as much space. So it's usually just scores, but since we need feature stories, we're doing that. We're doing more of those.
Obviously, things are not good, but it's like we really haven't been impacted here. Like the stores are closed and everything, and the sports aren't on TV. But it's like we're not really getting the worst of this, which is good, and we're not really seeing the full impacts of what they're experiencing elsewhere.
I just was scrolling over here on Facebook, not to change the subject, but they're doing best of the Sports Center commercials. ESPN should just do a whole 2 hours of Sports Center commercials. Let's just do it.
So that seems like a thing you could do in an hour every night for a week.
Yes.
And go from, what was it, a 64-team tournament is what? Is it 5 rounds or 6 rounds?
6 rounds.
6 rounds, all right. So you start on, you do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday the next week. And you just go from one to the next one, or one round each week.
Surprise ending to this Magic Bulls game. Orlando actually won in overtime, 128-124.
Back when I was a Magic fan.
One thing I was quite disappointed in, there was some point where they showed like a pop-up stat, like pop-up video used to have on page 1. And it was a quote from Michael Jordan after the game talking about how he was upset about the loss.
They freaking spoiled the game.
Who won if you don't know?
I like those little pop-ups. I don't know what they said because I was too far away, but do that, but don't spoil the goddamn.
Don't spoil the end of it.
Jesus, I'm back to this stupid-ass Orioles game. That's unbelievable. It's not unwatchable or it's not unbroadcastable, but goddamn, I've never seen a game this bad.
Have we talked about Mike Leach being in hot water already at Mississippi State?
What did he say? Mike Gundy said some dumb stuff.
I saw Mike Leach got in trouble for something. I still don't know what it was, though.
He tweeted it was a picture of a noose or something that it shouldn't have been. Let me see here.
Tiger King's got me so out of sports.
Leach's tweet of depicting a woman knitting a noose for her husband during self-quarantine.
Oh, for Christ's sake, and people lost their shit over that.
That seems...
I want to get mad about something because I haven't gotten mad about something.
Like, it's like plays jokes for you.
Consider where he's at, Mississippi State.
Sure, but it's like, okay. I get the joke. I think we all understand the joke. It's like it was a joke. We understand it wasn't serious. We all understand why it's supposed to be funny.
It's a different context though in Washington, in Pullman, than it is in Starksville.
Sure. Was it a black person getting hanged?
I don't know that.
It's like I just like
does not
stuff like
say.
that. It's like people, please, like stuff like that. It's like Jesus Christ. Like I just can't care about it.
Has Matt Halverson watched Tiger King yet?
Oh,
We'll find out.
are you still here?
30 seconds or so.
He says people that are allergic to peanut butter probably won't like Reese's. So,
Well, I mean, they probably would like Reese's, but then it would be problematic afterwards. And probably
what was the last restaurant you went to and sat down at?
B-dubs.
B-dubs.
not.
Charlie, did you go anywhere else? What?
When was the last time I did? I think it may have been. My birthday was on a Sunday, but my dad drove up on a Saturday while my mom was out of town. And I already forgot. I don't remember the name. Or I remember the name, but not the exact name of the steak place in town, like the Old 66 Steakhouse or something like that. That would have been on, I think, February 8th. Now I've got
Well, that was
since then. Also, I did Live Healthy Iowa, so for like 10 weeks I didn't eat any bad food at all. And when it was done, like all those places, I mean, I can get it, but you can only drive through Kansas.
Cook's Kitchen is where I was at in Brookings, isn't it?
Yeah, man, I miss Cook's Kitchen. That was
I
so
never went there.
Me either.
He doesn't have Netflix. So.
It is disappointing that you guys didn't go to Cook's Kitchen as
Is that like a ghetto Perkins, or what are we talking about here?
I tried going. We tried going in there once, and the place was packed, and we're like, nope, can't do this.
Why would you?
Also, if I remember right, it's only open for breakfast and lunch, and on like Fridays and Saturdays during the school year, they open at like midnight to feed the drunk college kids.
What we just
It's just a diner. They just have diner stuff there.
anything basically?
I don't think I ever got anything other than breakfast there.
I've heard their pancakes are very, very good.
The pancakes are good. I didn't usually get pancakes. I would just get eggs, bacon, and hash browns, and thought those were quite delicious.
Can't go wrong with that. Anything else like? Well, you know, it really isn't like that bad here, as we said. It's like, are you bored? I'm not really like. Our lives haven't really changed much. Like I go to work, I come home, I go to work, I come home, I do whatever I do at home, watch this.
You know, Prince and I are in a little bit different spot where we are still going into the office, and that changes things a lot where you like see other people each day outside of, I mean, I guess Stacking does, but they're immediate family members.
Right.
And it's like you can, like, instead of watching baseball games or the playoffs, and I'm watching Tiger King, I'm watching Netflix, I'm watching Ozarks, I'm watching Better Call Saul. It's just, instead of watching this, well, that's not on, well, I'm going to watch that. And it's.
I would say, like, it sucks not being able to go to the gym. That's the thing I hate the most about this. And, of course, the NCAA tournament being canceled and stuff. That sucks. But, I mean, we are getting by, and hopefully this is, we are seeing the efforts go.
Today might be a peak. 1,700 people died today, which is the most here in the U.S. since probably until tomorrow. I'm sure more than 1,700 people will die tomorrow. So a lot of folks dying. So a lot of things going on.
Does South Dakota and does Iowa have a map of the counties and stuff that they've had affected?
I've looked at it since Thursday or Friday.
And I
don't know how many people have died in Iowa. Nobody. We have like 4 counties we care about and that I live by. As far as I know, nobody's died from it yet in the 4 counties we cover. But I think there have been people in every county that have been reported as, testing positive for it now.
I really like going to this just to kind of see. They have a map of the U.S. and then the Department of Health with Minnesota goes into far greater detail. But impressive for Minnesota is that they have the fewest number of cases per 1 million people out of any of the 50 states. It doesn't mean they have the fewest cases. I think there's
Fewer
7.
per capita.
Right.
Which
7.
technically would be the most important because you want a low percentage.
16 states have fewer cases than Minnesota. As of my
Like
last count.
some of these projections, they just seem so huge. It's like, where are we going to get, 1 million people dying, or 100,000 dying, 200,000 people dying? It's like, how long is this going to last, and how many people have to die per day for that to happen? It's like, if 2,000 people die every day for the next 2 months, then we get to like 120, 130,000. And I'm the low end of that projection. We'll see what the final numbers say. Maybe we hit 100,000 people dying, and if we do, that's a ton. But some of these projections are like, 50 million, 100 million people are going to get it. It's like, how and where is this coming from? Nobody's going anywhere. We'll see what happens here in a couple months when this is done.
And so it'll be interesting to compare it to the only other 3 times since the turn of the 20th century that it's been this bad, which were the I think if I remember, the Spanish flu in 1918, the Asian flu in 1957, and I forget what they called it, but it was another flu in I think 1968. I don't remember if the one in 68 affected the U.S. as much or not.
We'll see what happens. So there we go. Anything else? 2 hours in. What do we? Anything else?
We covered it. We did good. We did very good. A lot of Tiger King talk, but that's the big story going on in the country right now. Non-coronavirus related.
And you also enjoy Abducted in Plain Sight.
You watch it in a couple of weeks, and we'll do another show here before the draft or something, or after the draft, and we can expound on your theories of how she killed or didn't kill her husband, or what happened to this and what happened.
I can't wait to hear Stacking's rankings of like the 5 craziest people on the show. and also, Chris brought this up first, I think. Equally important, the 5 most normal people on the show, too. And a lot of ways, that's the tougher ranking.
I will try and get that list put together here. But yeah, I think we should definitely do a mock draft show before the draft comes, which thankfully the NFL did have free agency, so there was some stuff to talk about for a while.
Yeah. And like people are like, like what Adam Schefter lost and said, they're bound and determined to have this draft, and maybe it was more about OTAs, which they're just not going to have. It's like they can have free agency. They can have the draft. You can all do this stuff literally anywhere that has a telephone, literally anywhere that has an internet connection. You don't need to be in person for the draft. You can do these things. The reason why the NBA can't have a draft is their season's not over, and they don't know if it's going to be over, so you literally don't know the order of the draft, first of all. So NFL's in a good spot of they don't have games, they can do a draft, and it should all be done in the NFL. Should be fine with it. So here we go. Stack Attack, Charlie Hildebrand, Indian guy, Matt Helverson in the comments. That was good. 2 minutes shy of 2 hours. So we'll see you here in a few weeks.
Guess what, mother?
Well, guess what? That's the end.
Tiger King.